Need to call to order the May 8th, 2017 meeting of the Board of Education. First item of business is approval of agenda.
Move we approve the agenda.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next, we move on to our special recognition of student, staff, and community partners. And first is the State History Day Student Honors, Lawrence High School, with Valerie Schrag and Tracy Murray, history teachers.
Good evening. I am Valerie Schrag. I'm here on behalf of myself and Tracy Murray, who teaches AP European History. I teach AP US History at Lawrence High School. And we are here with about a half delegation of the students, the Lawrence High School students who qualified for the Kansas State History Day competition held at Washburn University just over a week ago. We took 14 students to State History Day. All of them have prepared projects on the theme, this year's national theme of taking a stand in history. And 5 of them earned bids to the national competition to be held at the University of Maryland, College Park, June 11 through 15. So we have obviously a smaller delegation here today because there's a roar concert at Lawrence High. There are impending AP exams to be taken. There are athletic competitions. So I'll recognize everybody, but knowing some of them are not here. Emma Howard and Pierce Saturday. Go ahead and wave. There you go. Okay, along with Anna Chiu, prepared an exhibit on the White Rose Society. Ben Matthews and Quentin Harrington, okay, prepared an exhibit on Benjamin Franklin, looking at his defense of the American identity. They also entered the Dole Institute's Congressional Leadership Prize and placed second in the state, which came with $200, so they're pretty happy about that. We have Megha Shaw, who was not able to be with us tonight. She prepared a documentary on Aaron Douglas. We have Calvin DeWitt and his partner Graham Edmonds, who is singing on stage at Lawrence High right now, prepared a documentary on Marvin Gaye entitled What's Going On. Tori Mosikowski prepared an exhibit on Amelia Bloomer. Jackson Hoy prepared a website on John Brown. He also placed third at state, which made him the alternate in that category for the National History Day competition. And then our national qualifiers, Leah Merritt, who is preparing for AP exams tonight. She's a national qualifier preparing a website on the Grimke sisters. Chisato Kimura and her partner, Nick Matthews, prepared a website on Fred Korematsu. And Alexis Cree and Abby Persich, an exhibit on Wangari Maathai entitled Wangari Maathai, Mother of Forests. Alexis is a 2-year qualifier for National History Day. So we are very, very proud of these students at Lawrence High and their historical endeavors. They make for some pretty proud teachers. So thank you.
All right, next we have Future City and Model UN Student Honors for West Middle School with Charlotte Jerome, Gifted Education Facilitator. Are they back there?
Good evening. Yeah. I have 2 large groups here. Well, not large, but I have 2 groups here, and we'll start with our Model United Nations students. They went from a team of only 6 total last year to a team of 21 this year. They went and competed in Topeka and did an incredible job. Individual medal winners are Xana Ingram and Rita Joseph and Noah Rentia and Kian O'Lear. And other team members are William Schmidt and Isaac Byers, and Nathan Ma was also an individual medal winner. My next group are my future cityites. We had 2 teams at West. We have an 8th grade team, if you want to step forward for just a second. They also participated as a team last year as 7th graders. Last year they won a Creative Materials Use Award. This year they won the award for having the highest score for their virtual city. So the 8th graders just have done a great job. From the far side, is Nathani Weir Kasara and Maria Atchison, Logan Camarda, Ashton Weeks, and Lane Luna. Our 7th grade team, come on up, was the only 7th grade team to make the top 5 finals at competition. They actually placed 3rd overall and did an incredible job. We look forward to having them compete next year. They were also invited to the Professional Engineers Luncheon in Kansas City, and many, many engineers came up to them afterwards to tell them how eloquently they spoke in front of a crowd of 800 engineers. We have on the end is Anna Hayden and Xavier Bowen and Logan Clausen Wilson and Sam Coleman. And
I don't think I would have dared.
And next we have the Destination Imagination Team Honors with the Kathy Bowen, K-12 Gifted Education Facilitator.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Bowen, and I'm here to proudly introduce some of our members of our Destination Imagination teams. Destination Imagination is a creative and critical thinking problem-solving competition. It's a international competition. We are privileged to be able to present it here in Lawrence. We had 30 teams from around the state attend. 5 of those teams were from Lawrence Public Schools. I have to say that come on up, ladies. We have people who are doing double duty tonight. So we have, okay. All of our teams did a great job. Many of them came in first, second, or third. And so this competition, though, is special because these students hear about the competition in early October. Their brave parents, you're seeing one here and there's one here and many more, agreed to coach the team for 4 to 5 months. They meet weekly until the very end when they're all in panic mode, and they meet more than weekly. And then they bring them along in the competition. There's 2 parts. One is the team challenge, in which they take that 4 to 5 months to prepare a solution. It's quite complicated. And then there's an instant challenge where the students are brought together into a room and they're asked a question that they then have to, it's a problem that they have to solve in 3 to 5 minutes. And so they have to use teamwork and creativity and problem-solving skills and leadership skills and all of the other things that are involved in teamwork to solve that problem. They're judged by a team of appraisers and then given their scores. So we applaud these students as well as their team managers for their dedication, their time, and for their creativity. So thank you all for being here. Do you want to just turn around and shake hands? Okay. So follow the leader. Follow the leader. There we go.
Yeah.
You did it. Good switch, buddy.
These are our award winners from a contest called KCATM, which stands for Kansas City Area Teachers of Mathematics. There were over 700 kids that competed in this math contest. It was during spring break, so all of these kiddos competed in a math contest during spring break. And there are students from 4th grade all the way to 12th grade. Some of them competed as an individual, and some of them competed on a mathletics team. All of the kiddos up here placed in their specific division. We are really proud of them because they worked really hard and did a great job. So thank you.
All right. So next we have the Fair Housing Poster Contest winners, Scott Wegner, City of Lawrence, and Danica Moore, Equity Facilitator.
Good evening. My name is Scott Wagner. I'm a management analyst with the City Attorney's Office, and I'm here to support our third collaboration with USD 497 for our Fair Housing Month poster competition. We also partnered with the Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority and Housing and Credit Counseling, Inc. This year is a kind of a special year for Lawrence in that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of passage of our Fair Housing Ordinance, which predates the federal fair housing law by nearly a year. So it's kind of a special celebration in Lawrence this year. We received over 80 entries in our competition, and I think we have just a handful of the students here tonight. We also recognized the kids last Tuesday night at the Lawrence City Commission meeting. But I also want to recognize our chair of our current Human Relations Commission, Sarah Bloxham, is here tonight. And Danica is going to read off the names of the winners that are here and present tonight.
Okay, so high school, third place from Lawrence High was Ashley Brown. She is an 11th grader at Lawrence High. Then Bishop Seabury Academy also had an entry for third as well, a 10th grader by the name of Ella Blake. And then Lawrence High brought second place in, a 10th grader by the name of Malka Hampton. And then first place, and she's here today, at Lawrence High School, she's a junior, Allison Day. I don't believe we have any of our middle schoolers, but I'll read through those. So third place went to Iris Dunn, who is at St. John's Catholic School, as well as Abby Coons, a sixth grader at Southwest Middle School. We had second place going to Gabriella Carter, Sam Cass, and Cheney Finkeldye, who are all St. John's students as well. And our first place for the middle school was Yanren Lee, who is a sixth grader at West Middle School. And so they are unable to be here tonight. For our elementary category, third place went to Jerwin Rapata. He is a fifth grader at Prairie Park Elementary, and he is here tonight. And then second place for elementary, fourth grader at Broken Arrow, Geneva Izquierdo. And first place from Langston Hughes, a third grader, Kaylee Clancy.
And next we have our teachers and support staff celebrating 25-year employment anniversaries with David Cunningham, Executive Director, Human Resources and Legal Counsel, and Samri Devon, Director, Human Resources.
Sorry about that. It goes up. Yeah. Well, good evening. I'm Samri Devon, and I'm the Director of Human Resources. And assisting me tonight with tonight's recognition is Dave Cunningham, Executive Director of Human Resources and Legal Counsel. So Dave and I are so pleased to join the University of Kansas in its tradition of recognizing educators celebrating 25 years of teaching. In some cases, we are a few years off, but we will be recognizing teaching 10 years longer than 25 years. We would like to present KU certificates along with our sincere thanks to several Lawrence educators making this milestone in their teaching career. In addition, we would like to recognize classified support staff who are making service anniversaries of 25 years and beyond with our school district. We have certificates for them as well tonight. As you know, this is an especially busy time of the year. As a result, some of our honorees could not be with us this evening. We are pleased, though, to publicly congratulate 12 educators and support staff members tonight. So when I call your name, please come forward for your certificate and remain here at the front of the room until we've recognized the entire group. And then the board members would like to shake your hand. So first, I would like Vicki Andrews to come forward. Vicki has served the district for 28 years as a paraeducator. She has supported students in grades 4 through 9 at Hillcrest and West Junior High, now West Middle School. Over the years, she says her students have called her Nikki, Mickey, Vicky, Vicky Jane, and Miss Andrews. She likes to think so they have done so endearingly and respectfully. Vicki received recognition in our district as a paraeducator demonstrating best practices, and also earned a Para-Educator Award through the ARC of Douglas County. Vicky's motto, work hard, be kind, be humble, and keep your sense of humor. That motto has served you well, Vicki. We sincerely thank you for your dedication and service to students and support for our teaching staff. Thank you, Vicki. Janet Brighthop. Janet is a native of Lawrence. She, her husband, and their 4 children have all attended Lawrence Public Schools. Janet served as a special education paraeducator in our district before going back to school and getting her teaching license. She will retire in a few weeks after 28 years of teaching, 23 of those here in Lawrence Public Schools, and she's also taught in Oskaloosa. When she is not teaching 3rd grade at Sunflower Elementary School, Janet loves sports, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. She also enjoys hiking and crafting. We hope you have more time to enjoy your family and all those fun hobbies, Janet. Congratulations and best wishes upon your retirement. Carol Carnahan. Well, we did get this one right. This is Carol's 25th service to our schools. She is a registered nurse and has supported students in 6 elementary schools, the former Grant School, as well as Woodlawn, Pinckney, Sunset Hill, Hillcrest, and Cordley. Carol thanks everyone who has assisted her in advocating for students. She says there has never been any doubt that the staff in the schools she has served cared immensely about students and their achievement. She retires this spring and says her employment with Lawrence Public Schools has been a personally rewarding experience. We're glad to hear that, Carol, and sincerely thank you for 25 years of service to our school. Becky Chappell. Okay, Becky's not here, but I just want to say that she is a paraeducator in our district for 31 years, so that's awesome. Robin Dillon. Yay, Robin. Robin also is celebrating 30 wonderful years in Lawrence Public Schools. She started at Cordley Elementary School in 1985 as a substitute paraeducator working in special education classes. She moved to Hillcrest when the district built the addition there to serve kindergarten students on up through adults who had special needs. Robin later became a district-wide occupational therapy paraeducator and served on what we call the motor team, working with 4 of our occupational therapists, an adaptive PE teacher, and a physical therapist. She currently works as a speech and language paraeducator at Prairie Park and Woodlawn. Robin says she feels like she has done it all, being a paraeducator, supporting students in every school. She adds that it's been a long journey, but a very rewarding one. She has met many wonderful people who she says will always be friends and a part of her life. We're glad it's been a great journey, Robin. Thank you for your commitment and dedication to our students. Cindy Gress. Cindy is another one of our treasured registered nurses. This is her 25th years of service in education. She previously worked for a decade at Lawrence Memorial Hospital in Stormontville. In Lawrence Public Schools, she has supported students' needs as the former Wakarusa Valley, Centennial, and Riverside schools. She also has worked at Cordley, Deerfield, West Junior High, and now West Middle School, Sunset Hill, and assisted with the opening of Langston Hughes. No matter what school Cindy was assigned, she says she worked with so many professional educators and staff who love what they do. She says they are committed to their students and perform at the top of their field with the resources they have and those they add. Cindy says she has worked with wonderful professional RNs who are just as committed. She looks forward to wintering in the South with her husband and their sweet dog Jack, and having flexible scheduling where every day is a Saturday. Cindy attended Sunset Hill as a student, and then as a mother, she chose their home so her children could also attend Sunset Hill, and then went to West Junior High. She says she is lucky to retire from West Middle School and Sunset Hill, and thanks Lawrence Public Schools for all the memories. Cindy adds that she's worked with the best professionals anyone could ask for. We're sure they could say the same about you, Cindy. Congratulations on 25 years in education and your upcoming retirement with Jack. We appreciate your tender, loving care for students. Lorna Larson. Okay. This is Lorna's 25th year in education and her 38th year in the field of social work. She started working, I think, when she was just a kid. Lorna has supported students and families in the early childhood program and at Hillcrest, Wakarusa Valley, Grant, Sunflower, Woodlawn, Southwest Junior High, and Free State High School. All of them up there. She served first as a school social worker in early childhood and at the elementary level. She was one of only 5 district social workers in 1992. She served students and families at Woodlawn, Hillcrest, and was on call to support the former Wakarusa Valley, South of Town, and Grant, Northtown schools. Lorna says she put some miles on her car during those years. Her lasting impression of those first years was a consistent determination of teachers to make sure students received an education. She helped transport parents to conferences at Woodlawn, and they had set the goal of 100% participation because of her. She drove a teacher from Wakarusa Valley to a parent's home so a conference could happen. That is dedication. Lorna later transitioned to working appropriately as a transition facilitator. She has seen and still sees teachers' cars at schools on Sunday afternoons. Laura says she thinks our Lawrence teachers are a committed and talented bunch. They have educated her 2 children, and she adds they have educated me also. Lorna shared that she is in awe of our teachers. Lorna, we are in awe of your 38 years in social work. Best wishes for you in retirement. Dave Olson. This is Dave's 25th year in education. He says it has been an honor to serve the Lawrence community as a teacher, a coach, a volunteer, and a mentor. He started with us in 1992 as a 6th grade teacher at Kennedy, and since 1996 has taught math, social studies, and ELA at South Junior High, now the middle school. Dave says that working with 12 to 15-year-olds has always been very interesting. He recalls a lot of fond memories with cultural fairs, extracurricular activities, follies, project nights, nuts and bolts, and variety shows. He can reminisce about a plethora of meetings too: Bliss, curriculum mapping, professional development council, QPA, bringing back memories to all of you up here, standards and testing, to name just a few. Dave says we have many fine staff members and students to be proud of, representing Lawrence well. He adds that being a Lawrence Schools Foundation trustee for 8 years has given him a wonderful appreciation for our business community. Leadership Lawrence was also a great program through which Dave enjoyed getting to know a broader variety of people in Lawrence. Dave has been fortunate to be selected for the Superintendent's Leadership Development Program as a KLWN feature teacher, the Fulbright Hayes Seminar Broad National Award, the NYSC Teacher Program, and invited to attend the National Geography Bee as a guest of a former student. We are proud of your many accomplishments, Dave, and look forward to many more. Thank you. Becky Ford O'Keefe. Becky Ford O'Keefe. Becky is her 26th year in education. She came to us after 2 years in Oskaloosa and a year in Ottawa. Here in Lawrence, she has served students at West Junior High, Sunflower Central, and now the Lawrence Virtual School. As West, Becky directed the junior players in 18 shows in 6 years and sponsored the Mime Troupe, newspaper, and What's Up West. She also helped with lights, choreographing, and scripts for choir programs, assisted with site council, and worked all of the dances. Becky taught Mass Media 1 and 2, Drama, Introduction to Theater, Speech 1 and 2, Civics, Newspaper, and Communications at West. Then at Sunflower, she taught in the 5th and 6th grades. And again, helped out with the choir and served on site council, student council, and the recycling club. At Central, she taught Math Lab and Algebra 1, created costumes for school plays, helped with the choir and planning, and worked as the school's lead partner. Can you tell Becky likes to stay busy? At LVS, Becky has taught K-5 and 6-8 math, served as a middle school at-risk specialist and a team leader. Oh, and she also taught Algebra 1. Becky was involved with Showtime and Encore for many years, served as assistant director of the Foundation Follies, and appeared on the Follies stage many times too. She has worked with the Lead Center, planning and creating materials for the school performances, and served as a member of the LEA on many, many committees. You're making me tired just thinking of all this, Becky. Thank you for being there wherever you were needed. You're very appreciated. Mary Parkinson. Woo! Mary also plans to retire this spring after 25 years of dedicated service. She says when anyone she doesn't know asks her what she does for a living, and she answers that she is a special education teacher at a middle school without dropping a beat, she says her eyes will go all buggy, and they will say, "Oh my, you must have so much patience." Mary says she cannot imagine doing anything else. She has several students as a special education teacher for all of her 25 years and all but one semester at those at West. She was the chess club and study club sponsor too for a number of years. She has taught 9th graders when we had them at West and 8th graders since West became a middle school. She says when she got her job at West, she felt like she had been called up to the big leagues. Mary says West has always been home to amazing teachers, and it has been a real honor to work among them. She wants to extend her personal and professional thanks to all of her amazing mentors. She says West has always had her back during the personal losses she has experienced. She can't single out a favorite memory, but she does recall years and years of advancing 8th and 9th graders onto high school and hearing principals say to a standing room only crowd in the gym, "West is best." Thank you for imagining fulfilling a career with us, Mary. We wish you nothing but the best upon your retirement. Diane Spicer. Diane says, we missed it by just about 10 years. This is her 35th year of service to education, and 12 and a half have been spent with our district. She came to us after working as a teacher and a counselor in Oklahoma, as an assistant principal in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and serving as a school administrator in Dubai. For our district, she has supported the day school through Douglas County Youth Service, the virtual school in the summer, and the adult education program, where she has served as an assistant director. Diane is also an adjunct instructor for Washburn University. Diane says she has served on too many committees to mention. She also was a member of the Executive Board of Directors for the Kansas State High School Activities Association. She earned the Sunflower Bank Teacher of the Month Award and was named an Area Principal of the Year and a Kansas Master Teacher nominee. Diane says probably the most meaningful moments to her at this stage of her career are to see students accomplish their educational goals through the diploma completion program or by earning a GED, and then move to the next phase of their lives. She says it's been so meaningful to know former students, some now in their 50s, who are doing well and who acknowledge that education improved the qualities of their lives. Diane adds that another meaningful approach has been to encourage and support colleagues in advancing in their own careers. She says some chose to advance in education and some need encouragement and support when considering options outside of education. She has always tried to be supportive of anyone who needed a vote of confidence and when considering a change. Thank you, Diane, for being a champion for students and adults when they have needed one most. Diane isn't ready to quit or sit just yet. We are announcing tomorrow that Diane will be serving as principal of the Adult Education Services starting next year. So congratulations, Diane. And Nancy Starcher, last but not least. Nancy, she's in with her 26 years with us in a food service manager position. So anyway, now please join me in thanking and congratulating these 12 wonderful teachers and support staff who combine service to the education of children, youth, and adults total over 350 years. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you. Thank you again. Congratulations, and please shake the board hand.
Recognitions are always a great way to start the board meeting, huh? Okay, next is the board president's report. So first I wanted to thank Lawrence voters for recognizing the importance of investing in our facilities as well as our students and community's futures by approving our $87 million bond with just shy of 75% of the vote. Yay! We are fortunate to live in such a community that values public education. And I especially wanted to extend my thanks to the Yes for Lawrence campaign for extending a significant amount of effort in getting the word out. And thanks to Willie Amundson and Martin Moore for kicking off the campaign, to Noreen Spears for acting as the campaign's overall chair, and to other community members who stepped up to take on various leadership roles as well as just volunteer their time and money. It's greatly appreciated. And I'm looking forward to rolling up our sleeves and getting the work on the bond's implementation done now. And we'll have an update here on that process later tonight. Okay, that's all I have.
So once again, I'm going to ditto what Marcel said there and cut 2 paragraphs off of my what I was going to say. Only thing in addition that I wanted to talk about, I want to publicly thank William Dan. He has given the Lawrence Schools Foundation a $50,000 gift every year for the past 20 years to support our early childhood program. Foundation hosted a nice reception at Kennedy on Thursday and welcomed back a number of their former school staff while honoring Mr. Dan and Principal Chris Anderson, who is retiring this spring after 28 years with our schools and 38 years in education. Our parent legislative advocacy group, Educate Lawrence, invites the board, school staff, and the public to hear an update from Kansas State Board of Education member Ann Ma on May 15th, 6 to 7 p.m., and it is here in our board meeting room at the district office. This is National Teacher Appreciation Week. In addition to all the educators we honored tonight for their 25 years plus of service, I want to thank all of our teachers. They are absolutely the heart of our schools. It's our teaching staff who will implement the board goals, who are the boots on the ground and with their daily work in our classrooms. Building relationships with our school families is one of the most important things we do, and personalizing and learning to support all of our learners is significant. So thank you for our teachers.
Thanks, Kyle. Next, we'll move on to a patron commentary. USD 497 Board of Education appreciates patrons taking time to talk to us about our policies and procedures. We set aside this time during every meeting to hear from the public. And this is your time to share your opinions, but we ask that you avoid making comments of a personal nature about any district employee or student, including the use of personal names. While you're not required to share your contact information, we ask that you do in order to follow up with any specific concerns you might have. In such cases, a board member, the superintendent, or another staff member may be in touch with you to refer your concerns to the appropriate administrator for investigation. At that time, we encourage you to share as many details relative to your specific concerns as you're willing to share. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes if possible. Thanks for sharing your thoughts about policies and procedures with the board. So we have Kyle Camarda, I believe.
All right. Thank you very much for having me and letting me speak a little bit here. If you remember, I'm Kyle Camarda. I'm the president of the Kansas Scholastic Chess Association and now the executive director, so I'll be ending as president soon. I'm also a parent of 2 of our students in the Lawrence Public Schools, including one you just saw from Future Cities. So, and if you remember, a couple weeks ago, I was here celebrating our chess players and also requesting consideration of a proposal for lettering, for varsity lettering for our high schoolers. So Superintendent Hayden and I had a brief email conversation, and he brought that proposal to the Principals Council, I think you call it, right? Principals Leadership Council. And the statement was made there that all activities that have varsity lettering have to be CASHA, I guess CASHA supervised maybe is the right word. They actually are part of CASHA. And I really understand that because CASHA provides some very helpful structure. It gives us eligibility rules. It gives us amateurism. It gives us rules for fair competition. But I wanted to make sure you were aware that the Kansas Scholastic Chess Federation follows all of those rules. We actually have interaction with CASHA in many ways, and we've had meetings with them and making sure that we're following the policies that they have. So the reason we haven't joined CASHA is a very simple one. CASHA will not, under any circumstances, manage organizations or manage activities that are K through 12. They will only consider activities that are 7 through 12 or in high school. That's a problem for us. I mean, you just saw our very young, talented mathematicians down here. Those are the chess players of the future right there and the present. In order to challenge some of those kids, we need to have activities that are K through 12. The rule that Keisha has is a rule based on their history in terms of sports, right? You wouldn't want a third grader in a football game against a high schooler. But in chess, sometimes it goes the other way, that the third grader is actually the one that the senior should be afraid of, you know? So we've been a K-12 organization ever since our founding 25 years ago, and the United States Chess Federation sanctions bodies, only sanctions bodies that are K-12 in the states. So for us to be able to work with the national organization, we can't join Keisha. You see, we're kind of in a middle point there. So what I intend to do is get a letter from the new executive director of Keisha. I don't know who that is yet. I know that Gary Musselman's retiring, and there's a new executive director soon to come in, to try to set up some kind of a special status for us where it's recognized by them that we follow their rules, especially with regards to eligibility and amateurism. I've in fact been in charge of enforcing those rules on kids. There's more money than you might think in playing chess around, and we have to enforce those rules on our amateurs so that we can use school facilities, etc. And I'm hoping that after I get that status in that letter that we can have another discussion about this and try to reopen the conversation. So with that, you have my contact information, and I hope we can continue that conversation going forward perhaps later this summer and try to move this so that we can really motivate our extremely talented chess players from the middle schools and the elementary schools to continue in high school, to get them the kind of respect that the football players or the debaters get as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming and keeping us up to date. I think we can continue the conversation this summer when we see how the things turn out. So I think we would all agree that, I mean, certainly chess is deserving of some kind of recognition. I mean,
can I ask a question, though? Mm-hmm. What prevents us as a district from saying we recognize the value of this and go ahead and give kids who are deserving a letter? I mean, I realize there are these rules, but they're kind of make-believe in the sense of who gets a letter and who doesn't. So what prevents us from doing that?
Do you want to comment to your email? I have it here, but you can speak on it.
There's nothing that prevents us from doing it. It's just typical practice that school districts only letter is sponsored events by Keisha. And that's my experience. It's the Sunflower League. It's how all the league schools do that. It's the way we've historically done it here. We have dozens of clubs that compete in various competitions. If you were to go down that line, you would have to begin to start to distinguish what's the difference between each of those clubs and why you would letter one and not the other. The principal's comments are centered around that we recognize kids in a variety of ways, and a letter is certainly not the be-all, end-all of recognitions, but there could certainly be more conversation about it.
Well, if there's nothing that prevents us, and I realize other places do it differently, but we're Lawrence, we do things differently here as well. I would be in, and obviously, I mean, I don't know who makes this decision. I'm not sure it's a board-level decision, but I would certainly advocate for, going ahead and letting kids who deserve it letter. Mm-hmm. And again, but I don't know who actually makes that decision. Is that a board-level decision? Is it superintendent?
It doesn't fall under board policy, so it wouldn't necessarily be a board decision. It'd be at the building level, probably, supported by me.
At the building, that's interesting. A couple of the principals told me it was your decision, not theirs, and so they put it back to you. So I don't know. I don't actually know the structure, know exactly who it is. I would have to simply state, as you're judging those various clubs, I think what you need to find is a structure. The Kansas Scholastic Chess Association has a rather strict structure for who qualifies for the state championship, a ranking system that in many ways is more accurate and more detailed than something you might have in debate or even in art, which is something that they letter in many places, right? Certainly it's a lot less subjective than that. I can fill you in on all those details if you're interested in how we actually do the rankings, et cetera. And clearly not everyone would letter who participates in chess. They would have to meet a certain standard, which I believe would probably be higher than it is in many of the physical sports where participation, especially in the senior year, is sufficient to get a letter. We would set that bar higher than that. And I think it was in that proposal where we had the specific details on what that would be. So.
All right. So I guess it'd be worth figuring out who makes the decision for sure. And then, I mean, as far as I think that's a good point about the structure. I mean, that might be a way that we could handle, with setting a standard basically of who can letter and who can't. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Oh, board commentary. We kind of rolled into it as it is. So, you go ahead, Shannon.
I just wanted to share, I had the opportunity to be a sponsor or chaperone on the Lawrence History Walking Tour field trip that a number of our third graders do every year, and it was really cool and really interesting, and I learned an awful lot about Lawrence history, particularly around the time period of the Quantrill's raid, and I thought our staff did a really great job of preparing the kids for that and supporting it, and so I just wanted to compliment them. It was a really fun experience.
Thanks. Anybody else? Okay. Next, we move on to consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those that are considered routine and are adopted by one motion unless any board member or the superintendent requests that an item be removed. The item or items removed are voted on separately. You have a retirement? Okay.
I have a retirement to recognize this evening. Beth Bueller. The administration would like to give its sincere appreciation for Beth's 23 years of service and devotion to this community at schools. Thank you.
We have a motion.
I will move that the Board of Education adopt the items listed on the consent agenda. And I'm particularly excited that we're going to have a facilities and operations department. So I wanted to just note that. That's been a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, and do we have a second?
I mean, not the department, but the location.
Yes, the
That's
location.
What I meant. You
Gotcha.
get it.
Second.
Janice? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And we'll move on to reports. And our first is the Kindergarten Global Project with Jerry Kimball, Assistant Superintendent, Innovation and Technology, Tara Martin, Facilitator, Elementary Curriculum, and Nicole Korn, Kindergarten Teacher, Sunset Hill Elementary.
Well, good evening. This year we rolled out Learning Forward Future Ready, and what we have done is tasked our teachers to make sure that they are doing projects in the classroom that use tools to help our students become future ready. As we have done this, we use a scale called SAMR, and the entry level is substitution, and the highest level of technology integration is redefinition. And tonight we are going to illustrate a group that is using redefinition on a daily basis. That means they use technology in a way that the project they're doing would not be available if there wasn't technology. And oh, did I mention that they're the youngest ones in our district as well, reaching the highest level? But before we begin, I wanted to say kudos to the Journal World. You did a wonderful article on the kids. It was picked up by the AP Wires. I had it in several blogs, and I turned it on and said, this looks interesting, and it was us. So I was so excited. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Korn, the kindergarten teacher, and Tara Martin, the learning coach, and our Edu Rock Stars right here.
So when we first started this project, I didn't know what it would become. At first, we were just going to send some artwork to China, and they were going to send some artwork to us, like through snail mail. And then I thought, well, maybe we could put a QR code on the back, and they could do a video of how they made their art. And so then I thought, well, we could just use Seesaw. So that's kind of how it started. And these ladies helped me, and Jerry had the connection to the person in China. And then she helped me set it up through the international Seesaw. So, and then we just started sharing like things that we're learning, we started with a theme that changed every couple of weeks. What we were doing for PE, what we do for science, and art. And then the kids just started having all these questions. Well, I want to know what they like to eat, and so they would just ask all sorts of questions. So you can see like some of the different.
This while you're talking, and then we can go back to that.
Yeah, and then we just started pairing them up. So we have where they can. Yeah, there's some different things that they were showing us.
And we made this for you guys, so we'll come around and give you a QR code, so you can take it home and just like look at it at your leisure. But here's like some of the things they had the same. The kids were super excited. They had calendar math the same as them, and each of these are links. So if you click on them, it'll take you to like the articles that were written about our project. But you can see the kids sharing the different things, and then we'll let you see what it's like when they are watching. This is like how they do PE. We connected them as partners. This is the newest thing we've done, and we're going to show you what it looks like. And they literally can just ask their partner anything, just like learning from each other. So we'll let you see kind of what that looks like. Adelaide shared with her partner that she likes ice cream. Let's see if we have some volume. Oh no, we don't
The
have
volume doesn't work. Well, she asked her partner, what kind of ice cream do you like? And then her partner answered back, and she said she likes strawberry and chocolate. And then they just keep asking each other questions.
So like
back and forth.
when they ask back, you can hear the little.
I like chocolate ice cream and the strawberry ice cream.
And then
How about you like the ice cream?
they're learning English, so it's really cute.
What is your favorite toy?
What's your favorite toy? She
My
said.
favorite toy is doll. What is your favorite toy? This is Adelaide. I like dolls too, and I also like to play with my basketball.
So they communicate back and forth, and then they show us like how they read.
张偶书，少小离家老大回。
So you can get an idea though. And then they show us like how they play, and we show them how we play, and we just go back and forth. And each time we have like a new theme, and so we just announce it on a video, and then they know that that's what we're going to kind of talk about. But if they want to share something they want to share, they can just learn from each other.
And their paintings are really, really good.
Oh my goodness, we're like,
did you really do that on your own?
did your parents do that? But they play music too. Most of them play music. They have a lot of cool extracurricular activities as well. Oh, and their internet doesn't work very well at their school, so a lot of them upload their videos from home. So on the weekend, we get tons of videos from the kids from China, and then we upload them, and then our kids respond back for it.
Yeah. So, and then we learned how to count to 10 in Chinese and say a few words, so they're going to show you that tonight. And then we'll ask them a few questions too. So are you ready to count now? Ready? Okay, ready? Go. Okay, and then say hello. And then say thank you. Say goodbye. Say Tian. Okay, now tell them we love you. Say I love you. Wu I me. And then okay. Do you want them to come up here?
Yeah.
Let's see. Neva, what's one of your favorite videos that you've seen from our Chinese friends? Yeah, the water pressure one? Willis, what's one of your favorite videos?
I'll put the water pressure one on.
Adelaide, what's something that's the same that they do, and what's something that's different? That's a difference. Good. Umbra, what's something that's the same and what's something that's different?
So, we do math like them, and we speak English, and they speak Chinese, or Mandarin.
Yeah. And so, but I thought, when we started this, that they would just be learning about other people's cultures, but they've really embraced it, and they keep coming to me and saying, I want to know about how they do science, and I want to know about, so they keep asking more questions. So it'll be neat once they're paired up, the different questions they ask and what they learn from each other. So.
And so, like, if we were to take it to, if we had, like, one more month, and by the way, this took, like, 3 months to get started. I work hand in hand with their principal. His name is Josh Bobley, and he is fantastic, and he's so patient with me because I'm like, why can't this move a little bit faster? Like, what is the holdup? But they do things, I've learned a lot from the Chinese. They do things very systematically, and they meet with everyone. So they have 400 kindergartners in their school, and they only chose 22 to match our 22. But they met with each individual family and made sure that they were committed to, like, uploading these videos, that they were going to have the Wi-Fi needed to do it, and they were going to download the app and understand Seesaw. And then I worked with him to, like, train his staff on how to use Seesaw before they could ever get going. And that took a good month before we ever got that going. But we have this app called WeChat. It's kind of like Voxer. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie for across the world. And I literally talk to him daily, like, hey, how's it going? What do we need to do differently? And he's always asking me new ideas. In fact, so much so, like, we built such a relationship that he asked Jerry if our district would send us to Shanghai to help train their, co-teach with their teachers. I'm like, oh, that sounds fantastic.
Sure, we'll be there tomorrow.
He's like, you think you guys could come by May 20th? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. But yeah, so lots of cool things have come out of it. So many relationships were built from it, but I think if we were to go forward, if we were to do this again and start in August, not only are we learning from them and we're learning with them, but I would love to take it to learning for. Dr. Young Zhao really taught me that, we shouldn't just create things just for the sake of creating. So we shouldn't have, like, project-based learning for the sake of project-based learning, but it needs to be, like, serve a purpose. So I think these guys could totally create, like, a book for English language learners. They're already learning to speak slowly so the kids can, and they comment on their English all the time. They're like, great job, you pronounced that so well. Like, her kids are giving them feedback that I know she gives them. Like, they're sharing it back and forth. So I think if we were to create a multimedia book for English language learners, Dr. Zhao KU has already said that he would get other countries to, like, adopt our little iBook, which would be free. But we just don't have the time yet. 2 weeks and school's out. But in the future, I think something like that, we're learning from them. But not only that, we're going to share with them, like, here's a way to learn how to speak English. We're going to tell you a little bit about Lawrence, Kansas. So if we were to take it a step further, I think that's what I would love to do.
Yeah, and I forgot to say that they make the comments by themselves. All I do is set an iPad at their table, and they can do all of this by themselves. So
And it translates for them, too. Like, so sometimes they comment in Chinese, and then we just press the translate button, and it translates it in English for us, and vice versa. So we set that up so the kids can talk in the language that's comfortable for them, and we can hear it in the right language.
But a lot of the things, they don't really need to know what they're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them. So it's neat.
And that's it.
All right.
Kindergartners, can you turn around and smile at your moms and dads? Can
Yeah.
you stand right there? Mrs. Gordon, you want to take
Oh, you
your
want me to
picture?
Go.
Yes, great.
He said to unplug this.
You know, Jerry, you guys were great, but nobody was really listening to you.
Oh, yes.
Because should.
I know.
You couldn't hear us? Oh my gosh. It's all about them. It's all about them.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I should ask if anybody has any questions.
Which one are you
Sorry.
going to?
Yeah, it was awesome, yes.
I was opening my mouth and said I would love to see that with our sister city programs our sister cities that we have here too, like Japan and Greece and Germany. That would be neat to incorporate that as well.
Jerry, are any other teachers interested in trying that out? Do you know?
Well, we wanted to pilot it and see how it got off to a slow start. So next year, we would like to expand it.
We do know that there are more teachers than
Yes.
Yeah.
They ask me all the time, can you come do what you're doing over there?
And it's just amazing. The kids take their own videos. I went to visit and I sat my phone down and a little boy grabbed it and said, I need to use this. I've got to send my pen pal a video. And he just started it's just really cool to watch. So,
Thank you. All right, next is USD 497 Parents as Teachers. Kevin Harrell, Executive Director, Student Services, and Susie Green, Coordinator, Parents as Teachers.
Kevin Harrell, Executive Director, Student Services and Special Education. Yeah, he's turn. Yes. Last year, Susie came and gave a presentation of Parents as Teachers and what they do. And at the time, there was funding changes and a lot of uncertainty. This year, she's back to give you an update on what's going on with Parents as Teachers, some of the changes and the impact of some of the funding. And then, again, update you on what's happened. And it seems something new happens every day. So.
It does.
This is a good.
Hi, I'm Susie Green, Coordinator of Parents as Teachers. So for those I haven't met yet, it's nice to officially meet you. Thank you for having me. These are a lot of hard acts to follow. So I'm going to kind of whiz through some of these slides. A lot of this beginning will be just review about what PAT is, but my contact information is at the end. So if you have any questions or you want follow-up information, and people are always welcome to join on a home visit if you'd like to observe, come to a group connection or a play group. So if there's any part of our program that you would like to just watch, we always love visitors, so feel free to reach out for any of that. Okay, so Parents as Teachers, short in PAT, we are an evidence-based child development and parenting education program, and we serve families in Lawrence. We can start when you're pregnant, and we can serve you until your child turns 3 years old. We also have a small grant that can serve some 3 to 5-year-olds, and we highlight 4-year-olds specifically at Head Start and at Kennedy Elementary. So those are our partners, and we highlight services for 4-year-olds and their families. It is in the home. So as you see this picture, if you can see it with the lights on, this is an example of one of my home visits. So we're sitting on the floor with parents and children creating activities and talking specifically about how it impacts their development. There's 4 components to our program. We have screening, so our goal is that all children in our program get a developmental screening. We also complete a health questionnaire, hearing screening, and a vision screening. So we really look at the whole child and make sure that ideally nothing gets lost. If we find any delay in any of these areas, we can of course refer for services, whether that's to Tiny K or the doctor or to somewhere else. Group connections, which is our play group. So we have play groups. We are in the Centennial, the adult education building. So we have play groups there. We also have parent education nights. And I co-lead a positive parenting class. So we are currently the only parenting class offered in Lawrence. So if there's anyone looking for parenting classes or is court ordered, we are the only option. So right now we offer that 3 times a year, and that's a 6-week class. Community resources. So this is where we connect families to anything that they might need. And last is what we're most known for is our personal visits. So this is another example of a visit. So this is our educator, Stacy Daniels, again, sitting on the floor. We have the child in the parent's lap who looks like he's having a ball. He has a huge smile on his face. So we have the activity in between them, engaging in conversations about how their kids are developing, talking about parenting skills, and any areas that the family needs to work on, so connecting them to resources. This could be an hour-long slide all in itself, but I just wanted to show you that we are out there in every possible way recruiting and partnering, and as much as we can getting in touch with families in Lawrence. One of the ones I'll highlight is Dads of Douglas County. So we do have a special play group just for dads. And moms, I will not turn away if they come to that group, but it is dad focused, and that one's open to the community. So we have school-age kids that come to that. We have grandpas that bring their children and dads. So that's been a really fantastic partnership. And to see that play group blossom has been really nice. Our evidence-based curriculum is based on the 5 protective factors. So when you think about a home visit and parents as teachers, it's so much more than building a toy or creating a book or talking about literacy. What we're doing is really helping families thrive. We're also preventing child abuse and neglect. So if we know that 85% of the brain develops by the age of 3, we also know that birth to 3 is the most likely age range for child abuse and neglect to occur. So as home visitors, we're in a really unique position to get in there and to intervene and to talk about child development and parenting. So I'm going to walk you through those 5 factors real fast with more pictures of the good work that we do. So the first factor is parental resilience. So you can see on the left is a picture of an educator on one of our group connections. So we were out at Pendleton's, again, connecting families to community resources and opportunities, having a conversation with her family. And then one of our block fests. And I just like the idea of this boy who is so persistent. So what we do with parents is really help build on their strengths and resilience and help them work and work and work for their children. Next is social connection. So again, more of our groups. We have music groups. On the right is a dad group. So we had a function. It's a little fuzzy, but at the Natural History Museum, if you can see, that's the diorama. So we had dads meet up with other dads to talk about how important history is and how do we teach that to our children. So connecting parents to other parents here in town. Concrete supports in time of need. So whether it's nutrition, the dental clinic, money for food, housing, emergency assistance, whatever that is, helping parents connect to those resources, whether it's in a group setting or on a home visit. Knowledge of parenting and child development. So this is the heart of what we do. The number one risk factor for child abuse and neglect is inappropriate expectations for your child. And so really when we're in there on a monthly basis, sometimes a weekly basis, talking about those milestones of what to expect is so important in preventing child abuse and neglect from happening. And the 5th one is social and emotional competence of children. So you see our sensory bin in our playroom, which parents love because not a lot of people like rice and salt and sand flying everywhere at their home, so they get to do it in our playroom. So giving children the opportunity to have sensory moments and have times where you can talk about emotion words and using that language and that experience. So those are the 5 protective factors. So when we talk about a home visit, really those are what we're hitting on every single time we're out at a family's house, making sure they're connected to resources and have everything that they need. This slide was on here last year, so I'm going to whiz through this, but there has been a lot of research done at the state level about children who've been in parents as teachers and how that's impacted them later in life, and it shows that they score higher in math and symbolic development and language and reading. They have a lower body mass index, and they're more likely to be fully immunized. So this impacts children on multiple levels. Funding update. So this is why I'm here today. So I was here about this time last year, and I was concerned we would be moved from the Children's Initiative Fund to TANF, and that did happen. And so I'm here to just talk a little bit about what that meant for us this year and where we go from here. So as of July 1st last year, it did change. We exited almost 40% of our families as of the end of June. Because with this change to TANF, you had to meet at least one high-risk criteria. And as much as we tried really hard for every family to qualify. We searched under rocks and asked all sorts of intrusive questions, but we still had to exit almost 40% of our families. We did allow them to reach out to us with questions, continue to come to our playgroups, so we did offer them services even though we couldn't do a home visit with them. So our funding now comes through DCF, and it's still distributed through KSDE, and we still do have a local match of 65 cents for every dollar that we get from the state. One of the things that we struggled with this year is that in previous years we could also use in-kind donation as part of our way to meet that match. This year that was not a possibility until about a month ago when they changed their mind, so there's been a lot of changes this year we've been trying to navigate. We did start with 6 educators. We did not rehire 2 positions that left in the fall because of the funding challenges with not being able to have that in-kind match and the insecurity about not having families enrolled to the level that we hoped for. Our wait list was depleted last summer. Of course, when we exited so many families, I was able to take everybody that I could off that waiting list. So it's also been a year of recruiting and really getting out there, which was also not covered under TANF. So it's an indirect cost, and they only reimburse for direct services. So this year has really been a struggle. We have a waiting list now, and it is growing. So we've been out there. One of the positive things is it's really strengthened some of our partnerships. So we work really closely with the homeless shelter and with the domestic violence shelter, which historically, if we have a waiting list of 50 people and it's all word of mouth, we haven't necessarily put ourselves in positions to really get at-risk families. So I will say at the end of the day, that's been one of the very positive things that came out of this year, really being able to recognize the places that we're not reaching out and how do we continue to reach out to them no matter where our funding has come from. So having those conversations has been really beneficial for us. The last bullet point, you will see legislation is currently going through to move us back to the CIF. So I don't foresee any reason why that would not happen. We're towards the end of the session, unless something completely comes and throws that off. I'm happy to say we should go back to the CIF and back to universal funding where you don't have to meet one high-risk criterion. We do still prioritize our waiting list. So if we get back up to 50, 70 people on our waiting list, that still will be something we do. If we have a homeless family, somebody that's coming in with 7, 8, or 9 high needs, which happens, that we're able to jump in and prioritize that family ahead of somebody else. So. Just a couple of comparisons between last year, we served just under 200 children. And as of the end of April, we've only served 124. So we're down about 70 children so far this year. Last year, we had over half had no high needs. And this year, of course, nobody has no high needs. We had to qualify everyone. So about 3/4 of our families has 1 high need, and 1/4 of them have 2 or more. Since we were down families, of course, our number of personal visits went down a little bit, but I am happy to say the number of families attending group connections has stayed pretty consistent. So those families reaching out to our parenting class and our play groups and our fathers group has been consistent, as well as the number of kiddos referred for a delay. So that has also stayed consistent with past years. So moving forward, I think it's important to continue having conversations that have already started in the district about the importance of early childhood education and creating not only just PAT, but a sustainable system for early childhood in Lawrence. The most recent study that just came out is you can get as high as an $11 return on investment for every $1 spent in early childhood education. So obviously that's a long-term investment we're looking at, but every $1 in early childhood will save you $11 down the road, which also mimics KSDE's vision as we've been going to early learning roadshows throughout the state. They've been rolling out their vision is to span from birth to 8, and I added prenatal. So I really think as we talk about kindergarten readiness and what gets our children ready to come into the classroom and to learn, what gets parents ready to advocate for their children as they're joining all of these great groups that you saw tonight, it starts when they become pregnant, when they realize they're going to have that baby, and getting them ready to know what to expect, how to advocate, how to help their child learn. And so a quote off the KSDE website is that school readiness involves the whole child in the context of the family and the community, which is really what PAT is, being in the homes, being connected to community resources, and helping them on the ground with the services that they need. So that's it for me. There's my contact information. Do you have any questions?
Anybody have any? Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Jill.
I just wanted to thank you, Susie, and I don't remember if I told you this before, but I actually was a client of parents as teachers,
Yes.
and we had an extremely premature child. And just, I applaud all of your work and have seen it in action, and it really, really helped just track those first 3 years and the references and just the professionalism of people who came in our home. I mean, which is a little bit, it can be really intimidating because you feel like are you doing this right? Are you being judged? And they're very compassionate. And I just think you guys are doing a great job.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, next, I have an update on 2017 bond election with Tony Barron, Executive Director, Facilities and Operations.
Well, good evening. Tony Barron, Executive Director of Facilities and Operations. Well, it's an exciting time. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to our community and a big thanks for what they did. A great support, show of support as a great reason to be in this community. And second, I want to give a shout out to you guys for pushing us to that 87 million mark where I feel like we needed to be, particularly Marcel and Shannon for being so receptive to the priorities that we kept bringing to the table. So I believe the $87 million bond is going to be great for our secondary schools. So I do appreciate that. Well, let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the operation here. So what I've done here is I've kind of put together I put together two options of timelines. The timelines are taken straight from the master plan that you have seen, the 170-page master plan that was put out by Gold Evans. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one on the screen here. And so what I want to talk about first are the packages that we put together here. So if you want to take a look, we've divided these into three packages. A package A, a package B, and a package C. I do want you to take note that the Lawrence College and Career Center is at the bottom without a package. Our goal with that building would be to see which package it fits best in. So as we interview, get architects, engineers, contractors on board, I feel like the Lawrence College and Career, since it's such a small project, we'll figure out what the best fit would be for that particular location. So here's what we have. And as far as timeline goes, I've put together a timeline from bond planning through CMR, architect, engineer selection, through design. I didn't go past design because it's a long ways away, and a lot of it will depend on our construction manager that we hire. We have, if you're really interested in what the timeline was, like I said, it is in the master plan book. I didn't bother to put it on the time frame today, so this was just taken straight from that book. Let's go through this real quick. What I want to take note of is where we've been. January 2016, I believe. Yeah, it's hard to remember the dates, is when we started this process with Gold Evans and put together this master plan. As we went through the process, of course, we had several stakeholder groups that we wanted to get in touch with. We had site councils, we had board work sessions that you all may remember, facility planning committee, user groups, various user groups, about 8 of them that we listed, consultants, engineers, architects, construction managers, and then particularly a steering committee at the high school level to help guide us through this process. 18 months later, you guys on January 9th of this year, I believe, passed the resolution to move forward and try to go for a May 2nd bond election, which brings us to today. 6 days ago, voters approved it. And so where we're at now is trying to figure out how do we move forward from here. And so what we've done here, like I said, we divided the bond into 3 packages. And what I've done here is I want you to take a look at this middle section. Over the next 3 months, we're going to work on trying to get a construction manager on board. Some of you are very familiar with the construction manager at risk procedure delivery method, and some of you may not be. I do have, what I've done is I have a handout here I'll give to you later. But let me just walk through the timeline here. So what the goal would be here is we're going to put tomorrow in the Lawrence Journal World, you'll see the request for qualifications. The RFQ will be put out for both architects and architect engineers and also the construction manager. That starts the process. So from there, we're bound by Kansas State statute that will lead us through the process. What the goal is, it's probably about a 5 to 6 week process. What the construction manager, get them on board, and then from there we're going to get an engineer and architect on board, and then commissioning agent. I didn't put the commissioning agent up here on the timeline. It's going to come third in the process. Our goal is to get this done, have something come to you on about the July 24th board meeting. So to get all those in place, you'll see them kind of coming in July. So you'll start to see some approvals coming your way. We're going to do interviews. The time frame is the time frame. Like I said, bound by Kansas state statute. It's the only way we can go through it. Like I said, it's about a 5 to 6 week process with the interviews, posting the right things we need to post, and moving forward from there. Any questions on the time frame? Okay. Construction man, or go ahead, Shannon.
I was going to clarify that the statutory part of it is for the construction manager piece. We have a little bit more flexibility on the architecture firm hiring and the engineer firm hiring, but there's a lot of specific rules about the CM at risk hiring. But
that is correct.
Yeah.
is definitely, like I said, it's a very strict process that we have to follow.
And it's a little different this time around. They've made some changes to it from what we did 4 years ago when we went, was it 4 years ago when we went through this?
It feels like yesterday.
Yeah, right, exactly, it does. So.
Okay, well, I appreciate you clarifying that. And what I've done, I'm going to, Vanessa, if you don't mind handing these around, that'd be great. This is just a little one-page document of the CM at risk. I'll let you get that passed around. I'm also going to bring it up here on the screen. So one thing the CM at risk does for us, the delivery method, it gives us a overall budget to work with, which is called a GMP, the Guaranteed Maximum Price. Like I said, many of you have been through that process before and have seen those come up in front of you. The construction manager, the great thing about this is we get them on board at the same time as the design team, and so they get to walk us. The construction manager, the architect, the engineer, and the client, which is us, get to walk through the process together and figure out what decisions can be made collaboratively rather than the architect engineer designing it, the contractor bidding it, and then we would get what we get from that point. So this is a great collaborative design for us to go together. And before the design, so as of right now, if you notice in the second paragraph, it talks about 6 months, anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half to design. I'd say something on the 6 month end is going to be something like a South Middle School that only has very minimal components to it, and Lawrence High would be more on the 12 to 18 month end, just because it's a very complex project, and we want to make sure that we try to cover everything in that. Like I said, we feel this is a pretty cost-effective way of doing business. It puts the risk on the construction manager. They have a price that they have to deliver at. If they don't deliver at that price, it's on them, so it's not on us. So the construction manager at risk, that's the theory behind it. We will carry contingency. We will also carry contingency on our end. Some of the advantages you may see here, the speed of the project, the coordination, the relationship building. And I think it's hard, sometimes we overlook the relationship part of it. Being able to work with somebody that we trust, that we know, is very important to us. As we go through this interview process, we'll keep that in mind. People who have a strong track record, people who have worked in K-12 environments before. As you guys also know, through this last 2013 bond, K-12 can be complex sometimes, so we want to make sure we have somebody that we have a good relationship with, that we feel like we can trust and work well together. Transparency also is very good for us, and a lot of the times they are very, very brutally honest with us about what they see, what our wants are. We all have wants, and sometimes they'll just come back and say, well, you're not going to get what you want, but here's what we can give you for the price that you can afford. So that's also a very important aspect of us. So the construction manager at risk is really an important part of this whole deal, and like I said, you'll be seeing that come through over the next 4 to 6 weeks. The other thing that we're going to develop, one thing we did in the last bond was we developed a performance standards and guidelines book. This is from the 2013. It's about 33 pages of things that we like to see in our project for consistency for the most part. When you're doing 21 projects, you kind of want to give a guideline to what you're going to have. This kind of has the purpose. This is strictly 2013. I have a copy in my office that's scratched up and marked up of things that may have gone really well for us and things we might consider doing differently. But the purpose, goals, the process, it's basically a guiding. It's called a standards book, and I'm not sure if that's the right name for it. It's more of a guide, and adaptability is important to this. Because it's in here, this is what we expect, but if a contractor, somebody else sees something that maybe one for one could save us money, that may work better in the current environment, then we obviously are open to that. And so we will take those questions, and there's substitute form in the back here if you want to substitute something that we want. Fill out the form, give us the reasons why you think that's important, and we'll definitely consider it. So it also has guidelines to consulting, general design issues. There's things that we designed. One of the things, I think of elementary schools, one of our goals was to have bathrooms that did not have doors, and they just had a wall, a hidden wall there. You could go around, had our sinks outside of the bathrooms so the principals could supervise the kids. And so get the kids in and out of the restroom, come out in a wash bay. Most of our new schools have a very nice Bradley sink wash bay. That's a standard that we had. That's something we wanted. Something else you'll see is polished concrete flooring in our hallways, our corridors. We couldn't do that at every single location. Sometimes it just didn't work. 95% of the time it did. So something else that we have in the book that we want, it just guides our design team and it gives them some direction to go to come back with us if they have questions. So a couple things like that in here. Obviously, safety and security, high performance design and energy usage. Safety and security is very important to us, as you guys know. So that's also in here. And then it just goes down to the technical guidelines and the different construction divisions that you'll see in a guide specification book, which is really pretty boring. But it sure tells them how we want it done, and this is the process we want to see. So we'll continue to adapt this book, work with the facility planning committee to make sure that we have all the steps in order for us to hand out to our architects and engineers and construction managers. Commissioning agent, as I said, that'll be something that we'll do through the process. It's just a third-party checks and balances for us with our HVAC units, lighting, fire alarm systems. What it does, it ensures we're getting the most bang for our buck. It makes sure that what the sequence of operations is put together correctly and that things are running at the most efficiently they can. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty quick to the point, and I would ask if you have any questions about anything.
I was curious if Marcel and Shannon, are you planning to stay on the facilities committee through this project, or have you thought about that? I know committee assignments won't come out.
I plan to volunteer to do that.
So do I, yeah.
Cool.
And I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've thanked a lot of people, and I just wanted to add my thanks, and I imagine other board members as well, to our staff for all the work that you did to make this happen. I know Kyle did upwards of 40 to 50 presentations across the community. Other board members did them as well. Julie worked very hard to put together information that we could share successfully with our community, and Tony has been meeting with us as part of the facilities planning team throughout this process and working with Gould Evans and making all of this come together and happen. And so oftentimes we don't recognize our staff for all the work that they do to put something like this together so that we can be successful with our voters. And so thank you.
Yep, ditto that. Anybody else? Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have a motion to move to executive session.
Right. I move the Board of Education recess to executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of the individual to be discussed, with David Cunningham and Kyle Hayden invited to be present as needed, and with the board to return to open session in this room in 30 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.